And for future's sake, for anyone comes across, it is now 4:17 on May 4th. Here we are, a little bit later than usual, but still here nonetheless. I noticed that when I go, my Google messages come on before these process through the whole live, whatever it does. So we've got our cards here from the previous shuffles, from the previous story. In the last live that I did, we had the cards on the table as far as being careful that not to take any party favors, so to speak. Then I was saying at the last part that the coffee card was upside down, and then I was waking up this morning thinking, oh no, don't drink the coffee. So I don't know if there's some kind of looming issue going on there with someone drinking the coffee or someone putting a party favor of substance into someone's coffee, but just be mindful. Make your own coffee, perhaps, or use fresh grounds, or I don't know, folks, how you go about it. But we got tissue on the as I was breaking these out. We've got yarn, some kind of weaving together of a cleanup, or weaving together the writing on the wall. Maybe someone's becoming more aware of what's going on around them, especially as far as their privacy is concerned. We've got the mystic here. Someone could be seeing things more in the vision of a mystic versus just going through life, you know what I mean? And then we've got our orchid card, usually such a pretty gift that's given to people. Hey Google, what is the meaning or spiritual meaning of an orchid? Did you know that mosquitoes pollinate orchids?
Orchids are powerful symbols of spiritual growth, enlightenment, and inner fortitude. They often represent a refined pursuit of perfection and purity of thought.
So that goes along with what I was saying. And then we've got, of course, our mystic card here. So those kind of go together as well. So someone is connecting all the dots, so to speak, about what's been going on around them. Maybe they are more aware to what's been going on around them now that someone may have mentioned something to say, hey, you need to really take a look at this and pay attention to this. And going through that awakening. Maybe things have been quite honest for some time, or maybe you had some kind of feeling about something going on for quite some time, and you just didn't either want to believe it, or you didn't think what you were feeling was true, or maybe when you mentioned it to other people, they gaslit you and said, oh no, you're just thinking too much into it. Of course they would never do that. Come on now. Can you tell I've been there? That's not possible. No way. And they may mean well, or they may be part of it. We've got the broom and the violin. Let's clean up on the sad stories, right? Wah, wah, wah. You ever hear that when people say, oh, they just want to play their violin? Woe's me. But you know, violin music is very beautiful sometimes as well. So, find your place. But this person who's becoming more aware and they're listening to their sad story, or they're realizing their sad story, they're going to make moves in order to clean up that sad story so they don't have to have a sad story anymore. Maybe they'll surround themselves with people that they can truly trust. Of course, you'll have to work through the shock that people are even like that, or the people that you trusted are like that. But on the other hand, folks, just because I say that doesn't mean that it's true. Use your own discernment. Don't be rash and jump into accusations. You want to be smart about everything that you do. Don't lash out at people because you don't really know until you know. But you do want to be mindful. You know what I mean? We've got that violin coming up again. All right, let's see what comes. Bottom of the deck, we've got when pigs fly. My goodness, isn't that same old adage when you're talking about, well, you know, when pigs fly, would they ever do that to me? Well, you know what? Pigs are flying today. I had that same stance about stuff before. It's like, you know what, and not in a million years would I ever have imagined. Well, you know what? Because you imagine, now you get to experience it. We've got the camp. Has to do with somebody, or people in somebody's camp, people that they associate with, the people that they confide in, the people that they go to for advice, things of that nature. Or it could be just wanting a place of solitude to spend some time alone, just to kind of get back in touch with nature. Maybe someone said in a million years they'd never go camping. Maybe it's something as simple as that. And maybe you're going to find yourself camping. It is quite nice to be out there camping, and it's nice to be able to look up at the night sky and see the stars. Something will be uncovered or illuminated in that night sky. I mean, heck, you may even come up, you may even see a shooting star where you can make that wish. Wish, 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 wish upon a star. We've got 2 cards coming out together, the extended family, the in-laws, and a doctor. Huh. Is it a doctor within the camp? Is it the extended family seeing a doctor? Is the extended family saying that you need to see a doctor? Maybe someone is doctoring some kind of something within the extended family. Let's see what kind of doctor this is. Busy bee. The extended family has been quite busy protecting the queen bee. Or the queen, or the queen bee, or the king bee is what I'm trying to say. Somebody could be really into, really trying to protect maybe the mastermind of all of this. Could, as I said, involve a doctor. It could involve a extended family or in-laws. And it also could involve a queen bee. Someone who thinks they're a queen bee. Those could be all of the participants in this camp. We've got the mystic. Someone really didn't believe all this could happen, but now they're seeing that it probably could have been happening. We've got sprouted. Something that was buried is coming to the surface. Google just said you reap what you sow in our last story. I always find it interesting when things kind of go along the lines that way. What's the word? Synchronistic? We have the gesture, trying to keep someone entertained. Someone was paid to entertain or distract somebody. Someone's trying to make light of this, as like we were saying in the opening cut of the decks. Maybe someone's going to make fun of someone thinking that they're becoming a mystic. Oh, haha, you think you're like, you think you have gifts, or you think that you can see the future, or you think that you know what's going on. You think you know what's buried underneath the ground. Again, never in a million years would I have thought these people would have been doing these kinds of things. We've got straight. This is a straight haircut. Someone likes to wear their hair straight. Maybe this person is straight. Butterfingers. They straight let something slip out of their hands due to this distraction. They were buried in being distracted. Layered haircut. Many, many layers to this scenario. We've got the nomad here with the little hobo pack. Now, mind you, back in the day, that's what a hobo was. It was someone without a permanent home. They didn't have a place to stay. I know that nomads usually make the choice to be nomad, and they do travel from place to place. So this could be someone who is on the verge of being homeless. Maybe they had everything and lost everything. Maybe it's several people that are going to find themselves being homeless or nomads. Or these are nomads. So let's just see if we have a professional card or something that comes out. Maybe people were paid in order to distract people, and these people who were getting paid were nomads. People who traveled to do this for a living. We've got coming to collect. This is the ancient spirits when there were no rules to the spiritual realms, and it's coming in underneath the mystic, strangely enough. So maybe this mystic has some kind of coverage by these ancient spirits, but whatever it is, those ancient spirits are coming to collect. They want what's due to them. They want what's owed. I don't know how these people are going to pay up if they have nothing. Butter. We've got Butterfingers and butter being left out on the counter. Butter is very versatile, isn't it? It also accommodates itself to its surroundings. Why can't I think of the word? Not transforms. Is it transforms? If it's on the counter, it goes soft. If it's in the fridge, it hardens up. Consequently, like a victim of their circumstance. Someone who might be controlling the circumstances. Maybe that's what grew out of this whole situation, was the fact that this person could kind of go along with the flow. Why can't I think of the word right now? Transmute, transform. Bangs instant regret. Someone's in instant regret, perhaps, for being distracted. Maybe someone kind of changed who they were around certain people, and they regret that now. We have the updo now. Now this person is being conservative, where they were kind of just going with it before. Now they're trying to appear more dignified. A studio, creating, artistic, professional perhaps. Yarn, another creation card, trying to weave things together underneath this layered card. And a fishbowl, keeping isolated. So now maybe this person, instead of being around a bunch of people and changing their faces with whoever these people are, maybe these were yes men in front of a certain person. And they always agreed with or saved face with the person that they were trying to distract. And now this person who was being distracted or entertained by all these different things, now that they've let all this stuff fall through their fingers, they didn't really make too much of anything. They just kind of didn't take things very seriously. Now they're probably trying to find some kind of isolation within a studio in order to kind of ground themselves. They took bad advice. Maybe they got bad advice from a mystic. This is an acronym for yet another resource negotiator. So that could be a person that was hired in order to kind of steer someone in the direction they wanted them to be in. I guess they would call that a handler of some sort. It also has to do with computer systems. In Australia, it has to mean, I believe, communication, to have a chat. This fish is being taken care of. Another item that's being left out on the counter here. We've got clubs. So in ancient history is coming to collect from these clubs, fraternities, sororities, people that kind of meet at a golf course to handle business per se. Pretty strategic. You got to have pretty good aim, otherwise you wind up in the sand pit or the lake. You don't want to get stuck or sunk, right? You got to protect your clubs with those little fancy club covers, don't you? Uh-huh. When pigs fly. Be mindful of who you surround yourself with and who you do business with, right? But of course, if that ball gets sunk, there's always the world is your oyster. There's always new options, new opportunities. Because what is buried always comes to the surface. I shouldn't say always, because there are some seeds that just don't make it. They could have been overwatered, or they could have not been watered at all. So I guess that just goes to show what you take care of is what's going to produce. So if you're being constantly distracted or entertained in a way that's not healthy or productive for you because all the opportunities just slip through your fingers because you were just doing something else instead of paying attention to what matters, like ancient spiritual practices as far as the Most High, because He is the first and the original. Coming to collect, maybe someone is able to collect on the things that belong to them now. Or on the other side, maybe these clubs and fraternities or groups of whatnot thought that they were going to collect on this pearl of an opportunity. The writing's on the wall, though. With the toilet tissue, you got to clean that up. Somebody's got to wipe their behind. Your poop stinks like everybody else's. You might have good days, but overall, yep, someone's bitter. Someone is bitter about having to clean this up. Could be an Aries. We've got the Ram here. That's the Aries card. The ram is protective of their flock, their sheep. Then we've got a double take. That was something I saw on the road the other day. I was like, there was a child sitting behind the mom who was driving, but then I had to do a double take because it's not what I thought I saw, if that makes any sense. I was like, in a million years, there's no way someone would be driving their kid like that. And so I had to do a double take, and sure enough, I was seeing something completely different than what it was. So you got to be mindful of that. Someone could be trying to ram some idea down your subconscious or conscious for that matter because they're bitter about a situation that now they have to clean up. So now they want to force their own agenda, of which you may take a double take on it, like, that doesn't seem right. And it's not right because someone's trying to mislead you. We've got burnt toast. Something is way overdone. Maybe this person is like way overdoing it with how they're trying to explain it, or how they're wanting you to take or adopt or take on whatever their thought is or their perspective is. Completely cooked, just burnt, done. This whole idea that they had is just... We've got two cards coming out. We've got the frizzy and the pop, which they interestingly go together, right? Because there's fizz in your pop, but there's something that's going to, some kind of situation that's just overdone, overripe, overcooked, oversaturated. Obviously, something that's not working out. Someone's plan that they had, stealing, maybe they were stealing other people's prosperity. Maybe they were stealing other people's just basic resources. Is done. Maybe trying to isolate people or trying to weave some kind of scenario, create some kind of scenario that isolates people. Has done popped. It's burnt and popped. Someone's at their wits' end. They can't make it stick anymore. It's like an overconsumption of whatever project that they were working on, and whatever they were doing, they did it so much that now it's obvious. We've got long. It's going to be popping off for a long time, or it has been popping off for a long time, or they've been doing this for a long time, or the person that's been affected by this is going to be gaining opportunities. The world is your oyster, meaning you can have any opportunity that you desire for a long time. Things are going to work out in your benefit. Maybe that's just the way these clubs and stuff has been working out, is that that's been working for them for a long time, and that's just plain gonna pop and explode and totally out of control. We've got the violin, and they're gonna sing sad songs, listening to the violin, ruminating on what could have been, thinking about the good old times. I'm finding it interesting that we have so many of these cards of all of the newer energy. In case you're new here, these are cards that I've designed and made myself. They're all in different stages. When I think of a word or something, I'll write it down so that way I don't forget the word, but it's still in play. This is just a rough sketch because I didn't want to forget the scenario I saw. Some of these are researched, thought of. Some of them are not. I'm hoping to get back to being able to complete this. But again, I find it interesting that these are more of the newer energies that have been created. What are they shaving? They're shaving the passion, the fire, the destruction. They're having to get rid of it. Maybe they're going to purify something and start over. T-shirt. Keep it casual. Maybe they want to keep this passionate new beginning casual. Or maybe they ought to, depending on what side of the coin that they're on in this storyline. We've got the white skate, using someone else's resources. Maybe they were supposed to keep things casual as far as using other people's resources, but they just got way ahead of themselves. They got overzealous. And they just did it for way too long. You know, white skates only exist. Their lifetime is only 4 years. But within that 4 years time frame, they were able to figure out that if they use the resources of the warmth of the volcanoes can sit there and keep their eggs warm enough to hatch. How does that apply to the story we're talking about? Well, the people who are doing the wrong, it's clear that they were overextending themselves by using the resources of others and keeping other people isolated and homeless. For the people that this was happening to, you could have been dealing with it for about 4 years. You could have asked other people for help with resources. I wonder if the help was there for you, because it's my theory or my idea that these people who are involved in this kind of thing have people strategically placed in all kinds of different places in order to offer help to some and restrict help for others. Just a theory. They have people strategically placed in different organizations and different companies, institutions, decision-making places in order to use those resources to help themselves along. I've been looking for a job here now for Raleigh for the last 4 years, and I'm noticing a repeat in a lot of the job titles or the job opportunities. There's a repeat in the same positions being uploaded to the sites, and I often wonder, I wonder why. Is it because they're hiring people who are inept at their job? Are they hiring people who won't sell their integrity? Are they hiring people that just somehow don't come to work anymore? I don't know. But it's just a thought that comes to mind. Why are the same people hiring for the same position over and over and over again every few months? I find it interesting. I'll say it again. Radioactivity is our outcome card. Something being very poisoned to the point where it does take someone's life. Something that is sick, or it makes people sick. Please don't say anything. Someone is saying, don't say anything, it's a secret. They're asking nicely. We've got a cabin. There's a cabin involved somewhere. Maybe they're wanting someone to take a trip with them to a cabin. It will be our little secret. The lady about the radioactivity card, I read an article somewhere, and she said that she was working, well, I don't know if she said, but it was an article that said that this lady was working with her husband on radioactivity materials, and her husband had passed away. So the lady wanted to continue on with his research, and she would carry this vial of radioactivity in her purse with her everywhere she went, and she ended up passing away from the result of carrying that radioactivity around with her, not realizing at the time that it was the precise thing that was her demise. Unknowingly, she walked herself right into her own demise. We've got a lobster here. That's vulnerability when the shell comes off. Could be somebody's person, since it's under the radioactivity card. Someone could be saying, hey, let's just take a trip, me and you, to a cabin, and we'll just sit back and relax. Be mindful. And mind you, you would know if there's something suspect already going on in your situation, I would hope. And that maybe this is just a confirmation or something saying just don't go. Don't make it your story if it's not something that you have been experiencing, so to speak. This is all underneath the extended family and the busy bee cards, mind you. Facial hair. The significant other could have facial hair. They could be wanting just to, take you on a date and have lobster and a cabin, going to their second home. They want you to keep it secret. Anytime that someone says, I want to keep this secret or don't tell anybody, it's usually because they just don't want other people to know. How does that feel? That sucks. I mean, I guess it depends on where their place is in life, but anyone being kept a secret is probably not somebody who should be anybody, right, in that scenario. And then we've got the orchid coming out again. I forgot what Google said orchid meant. I'll have to rewind. But whatever it is, it could be growing. I know that usually orchids are a great flower to give to people for their birthdays or whatnot, housewarming. And I did mention in the beginning that I recently found out that mosquitoes, when I asked what is their purpose, mosquitoes are actually pollinators of orchids. I had no idea. I found that very interesting. Almost like when a pigs fly moment. And then we've got a plane, long distance travel. Maybe someone's making a suggestion to travel to wherever these orchids are grown. Hey Google, where do orchids originate and what are their meaning?
Orchids are ancient, found on almost every continent except Antarctica. They symbolize spiritual perfection, enlightenment, inner strength, and resilience across many cultures.
Interesting, interesting. So we have this ancient spirit here coming to collect, and then we've got these flowers that are also ancient, and then we're going from, what is this? State to state, country to country, going over water somewhere. Whatever that means. And then we've got the parasite coming out, and you know how I am. If I keep looking at the cards, I'm going to keep pulling the story. So we've got a parasite, someone who is literally just sucking the life out of somebody. Maybe someone's just tagging along for the ride, for the trip, for the ability to be able to travel. Using someone else's resources. Remember we had with the white skate. Someone just casually doing that. Someone just kind of hangs around because maybe they just sit pretty in order to be able to use the resources from somebody. And it's toxic. And in doing so and entertaining this kind of behavior from somebody, it's leaving someone vulnerable. Do you recognize how we have a cabin, which is a place that people go to in order to find some solitude or away time? And then we've also got the camp there. A lot of times people will go camping up in the mountains, or they'll go camping up in, you know, somewhere where they can go hiking. So it could have something to do with a wooded area of some sort. Hey Google, can you tell me the meaning of a blue house, a house made of blue lights, and a fireplace with blue fire and a yellow flame? What are those meanings?
A blue house with blue light represents tranquility, trust, and spiritual protection. A blue fire with a yellow flame symbolizes the balance between intense, transformative spirit and the warmth of human consciousness. It's a powerful metaphor for maintaining your inner clarity even while you undergo deep, alchemical change.
Hey Google, did you mention the yellow flame?
Yes, I did. I mentioned the yellow flame symbolizes the warmth of human consciousness,
Gotcha.
balancing the transformative power of the blue fire.
Got you. Thank you. So that kind of correlates to what we were saying already. We've got more determined. They found that this Leo is more determined. This witness let go. Whatever this hardship is, or the stuff going on behind the scenes, this person who might be a Leo, or their name could be Leo, has witnessed this. And they're wanting you, or they're suggesting that you let go of this person, perhaps. Of what this, maybe you have a friend who's a Leo, the timing. Let go of the timing. Maybe someone's determined to find a Leo. Hey Google, what are the characteristics of Leo?
Leos are known for being bold, generous, and charismatic. They're natural leaders who thrive on creativity, loyalty, and a warm, magnetic sense of confidence.
We've got secrets coming up again with the letter initial H, first, middle, or last, with no mind, unknown. We have the number 10 and no pride. So they're humble. 10 is a completion number, new cycle. undermined. Maybe they have someone with the name of H, first, middle, or last, has undermined somebody with secrets. Stay humble. Leos are usually humble, even though they come across as being arrogant and boastful and stubborn. And I can say that because I'm a Leo. Why? Why do you say that? Because I'm a Leo, I can say that. You got to trust the timing, right? And honestly, people who do stuff, you just got to thank them and just say, you know what, let's move on. Because now you see it, right? You've got eyes, you can see. Save face. There's going to be an accident of some sort. There's an oops, I made a mistake. Really? You're going to come in and say you made a mistake by undermining someone? Okay, you're just two-faced. Someone is not showing their face. Someone is unknown because they can't see their face, perhaps. We've got the lotus flower here, which is also with our orchid flower. That's cute. There's no pass here. Pass is upside down. Hey Google, what is the meaning of the lotus?
The lotus symbolizes purity, spiritual awakening, and faithfulness. Because it blooms from murky waters, it represents rising above adversity to reach enlightenment and beauty.
Now, mind you, that's over the Leo card, so this Leo probably has gone through a bunch of that. And they are trustworthy. I would like to say that majority of, well, I can't speak for all Leos. But I know that they have some kind of integrity, spiritual connection of sorts. When they're in their north node, mind you. Now, this is no surprise. Maybe this person wants more opportunities. More, give me more. Maybe that's what they're saying. I need more. There could be a change in this with what the heck. It's no longer a surprise because that's upside down. Someone is already beyond the fact of finding something out. We had dragon in between these two blank cards and it's upside down. So, I mean, there could have been some kind of mystical force in the background that is no longer. Because of the awareness, the secrets are obviously coming to the surface now because we're talking about it. And usually secrets and any kind of radioactivity behaviors, once it's been discussed and you're aware to it, it can't have the same hold over you that it had before because now you're aware. And what you do with the information is up to you, how you want to transmute that and translate that to your life at this point. It is shocking when you find out things like this. Trust me, it sent me out on a leave of absence from my job, which I'm no longer able to go back to for whatever reason. So it is alarming, and it does cause you to have some kind of hardship in kind of working through and processing through what it is that you have learned. That perhaps you were a person who was set in this creation of weaving some kind of way of keeping someone isolated and homeless. It's time to let that go and bear witness to such a situation happening. Humbly so. We do have the Ram card, and we have the Leo, and we have the Fire card, which is interesting because the fire signs are Leo, Aries, which is our Ram card, and Sagittarius, which was in a previous story, I believe. A lot of passion, a lot of purification happening here. This witness is just sticking out to me like a sore thumb. Again, as I said, you may want to keep the information that you come up with or you find out or you're aware of. You might want to keep that to yourself for quite some time until you can figure out some way of resolving the issue quietly. I'm not seeing anything as far as like law enforcement is here. I'm not seeing that. It's definitely has to do with some kind of network with the busy bee. And the clubs card here. Whether that is your extended family perhaps is involved with some kind of network. It could be you're involved in a network. Group of people. But anything worth doing is worth doing smart, right? You don't want to leave yourself exposed. So, I'm not seeing the chess piece out here at all, but I am seeing the checkerboard behind the yarn and behind the butter, which could indicate the need to be thinking steps ahead of the scenario. They could be playing checkers when you're playing chess. Remember, they've been trying to keep you distracted and they've been trying to keep you entertained throughout the whole time. Or they're working behind the scenes while you're distracted or while you're being entertained. Someone wants somebody to have a long violin scenario happening to them. Or maybe they've been dealing with a long violin situation and that's what's going to be shaved off and purified casually, right? Someone could have been scraping off the top of something. I'll just take a little, they won't know. I don't understand that myself. I once had to give up. There was a scenario where someone wasn't coming to terms with the person that was supposed to be making some kind of agreement with this person, and because that person was unwilling to come up to an agreement, I was asked what did I want to do with the money that was involved already, and it was like at $60,000 or something. And I told that person, I said, you know what, this whole scenario had nothing to do with me in the beginning. So, because you were trying to save the situation and you were trying to help out with the situation and you invested into the situation, and that person is not trying to even resolve the situation for what it appears to be, I don't have any say to that money there. So, it's not mine. I can't claim it. So it was either the person who was trying to make the deal or the person who was trying to do in the investing to save the deal. They were going to have to deal with that. I politely took myself out of the scenario because I've always known that all money is not good money. And there's some money you just don't want to accept, even if it appears to be a great deal. There was another time that someone told me that they wanted to give me, they wanted to send me about, $500 a month. I guess their parent, their mom or something had passed away and they had access to her bank records, but because of whatever reason, they wanted to distribute. I don't even understand the scenario and how it would even be a benefit to anybody, but they were saying that they would send me $500 and all I had to do was send them $350 back, and I could keep $150 of it every time they made the deposit. And this was by someone who I had met, and I guess they thought they were trying to help me out and it was a win-win for them. But in my opinion, anytime that you're trying to do something deceptive in any regard, it's not something you want to play a part in. I mean, looking back now, I think I could pinpoint perhaps this person who was involved in that, and it was probably the same person that had to do with that other story I just told you. And I'm having a feeling that it was around the time that this person's mom had passed away, and perhaps there was some kind of inheritance that was supposed to be left to me. And I think this was this person's way of maybe giving me the inheritance, or saying they were giving me the inheritance, but getting the money back from that inheritance because they didn't want me to really have the inheritance, if that makes any sense. And it also kind of circles back to another scenario that happened with this person, trying to strong arm me into making an agreement of sorts that had to pertain to the finances of our child. So, of course, that was a whole scenario that blew up, and there ended up being a court proceedings and whatnot against this individual, which resulted in this individual not being able to contact us for 10 years. Which is that 10 years has been long over, of which this individual came into my job when I was at my job. It's just ridiculous. But anywho, enough TMI for my situation. It's funny how these cards kind of open up those kinds of things when you weren't even thinking about them. Anywho, I'm going to give us the time and date on this again, just so that it can make sense for anybody who wants to compare dates and times, because this same spread will be put out. Oh, it's late. Will be out on Google Interpretation. I don't know when it will process and when it will finally load, but it would be awesome if I could go live on there, because then that way I don't even have to worry about my memory storage on my phone. And it's just, that whole Google site over there is what's it called? Some of the videos have been were put out before the other ones were put out, because I had to be able to merge two of them together because Google wasn't cooperating. So those are on hold, and then I couldn't put the little watermark title on the front of it. So it's just, some of them weren't put out when they could have been put out, and it's just all the dates are backwards or not in order. So this should help. And I finally got this set up to Bluetooth again, because somehow it got disconnected once again. All right, folks, with that being said, hey Google, what is the numerological significance of this reading ending at 5:05?
Seeing 505 is a powerful sign of positive, life-altering change. It encourages you to embrace your independence, trust your intuition, and step out of your comfort zone to pursue the growth you truly desire.
Hey now, we've got growth here. Be vulnerable, grow. Right? Maybe travel to foreign lands. Just don't pick up a parasite. With that being said, thanks for being here. Take care and make it a great day.